Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Sunday morning to you all. Hope you guys are getting up and feeling well out there this morning and having a great start to your day and a great wrap up of your weekend. Hope you guys have been having a great weekend. I know I haven't been with you guys as often as I normally am on the weekends, but just the weather's kind of quieted down. Things have certainly not very active out there. I don't really see anything really big to break down for you guys with high confidence, I guess I can say. I'm seeing two storm systems this week because we technically are into this week now. That one could be about midway this work week, and another maybe closer to the weekend. That one closer to the weekend could be bigger. I have a feeling that maybe the models will try to come together to make something more substantial with that second system closer to the weekend, but then again, they might not. So we're still lacking a real true cold air source to match up with some kind of piece of energy for you winter weather fans, which includes myself, that are begging for some kind of winter storm across the eastern U.S. or even the southeast. So we're still looking for that. We just cannot connect the dots to save our lives. So it's just the way it is, and unfortunately, I'm gonna keep it real with you guys, which isn't unfortunate. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying unfortunately for us winter weather fans, like I said, I'm gonna keep it real. I don't see anything to latch on to. Don't want to hype anything up that really isn't there. But of course, there is, like I said, two systems to watch. But we're going to break down the weather for today. I want to make an announcement really quick, guys. I became an ambassador, I guess you would say, or partnership with Weatherflow, the Tempest. It's basically a weather station. So here in the next week or so, I will be promoting that, and I will put a link down in the description, and it's going to be a discount that we can put on this weather station for you guys. I believe it's 10%, but I'm going to get the details working with these guys. This is the first time I've done something like that, and they reached out to me, and it's kind of exciting. They sent me a weather station. I'm trying to kind of geek out with it and trying to figure it out for you guys, and then I will talk a little bit about it on my channel. It's not going to be every single video, guys. For you folks who watch me, because I don't do that, don't worry. It's not going to be something that I just drill down constantly, but it is an opportunity for me in this channel, and it's kind of like a partnership. It's kind of like I guess you would say, a sponsorship kind of deal. So if you see that come up, you're like, oh, here we go, and another channel that just is constantly trying to advertise stuff. That is part of growing a channel and things like that, and then a platform. But it's big to me because for me, it has to do with weather. So I believe it's a great opportunity for me, and really for me, for personal growth, things that I'm not comfortable with that kind of stuff. It's going to be an opportunity for me to learn what it means and how to sponsor stuff and advertise stuff. So if you see that, it's not going to be every video, guys. Maybe once or twice a week, but I'm certainly going to give that a go. And so heads up on that if you see it come up on any future videos for you guys. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. It goes a long way, especially in these slower times, guys. And if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. Thank you for all the birthday wishes for my baby girl. She turns 8 technically today. So today she is 8 years old. We're going to go to a local place called Frankie's Fun Park here in Columbia, South Carolina. And she's had a really fun weekend so far. So thank you all for all the love, all the shout outs, and I really appreciate every single one of you guys. So let's get rolling. Not going to be long. The intro was probably 25% of the video. So water vapor loop out here, guys. There is a system popping off the coast of the southeast. This has brought a little bit of rain for you folks in the eastern Carolinas, and it's raining in portions of Tennessee. Oh my goodness. Portions of Florida. I either want to call Florida, Tennessee, or Texas for whatever reason. I'm sorry for you folks. In Florida, it's raining and storming in portions of Florida this morning. Got a little bit of rain falling from this coastal low, really developing. It's a pretty strong coastal low. It just isn't moving inland and really isn't getting close enough to the eastern shorelines to really bring any impactful weather for anybody. So that's really the only storyline. Outside of that, you are going to have a drastic warm up today in the Northeast. You're going to go from being locked in the freezer to warming above average temperature wise in certain areas. So it's pretty wild to see. Watches and warnings, not a whole lot going on. You got some dense fog advisories down here in Texas. You got some flood warnings bordering some rivers, which isn't totally unusual, especially when you've had a lot of rain lately. Some high wind warnings and watches in Wyoming. So outside of that, guys, it's quiet. I was looking at my memories on Facebook and stuff, and this time last year we were wrapping up a major winter storm across the southern plains and the Ohio Valley. And we just had got done with a very active January. Seems like, we fast forward to right now and there just ain't a whole lot to talk about. There's not. And it's kind of I guess you would say a good and a bad thing for me. Good because, yes, I don't want to talk about severe weather. Okay. Severe weather's tough. It affects more people's lives than winter weather. But, obviously the channel growth slows down when there's not a whole lot to talk about. But at the same time, it gives me time to reboot and definitely rest up for inevitably there's going to be another active period because it's the weather. There's always something coming. So it's pretty nice to have a little bit of break because I think this time last year it was so much going on that I didn't really have a time to really catch up on what exactly was going on, if that makes any sense. Anyways, let's talk about the Southeast. Like I said, some rain and storms out there in Florida. It's kind of a soaker for a lot of Florida. But, for the panhandle of Florida, for example, not a whole lot going on, maybe some clouds. But these showers, that basically shower activity, no real storm activity, will continue to move through areas of the PD of South Carolina into the eastern sections of North Carolina. They will drift into southeast Virginia. By the time we get into later this afternoon, they will even make it as far north as maybe southern Delaware. But look at all this plume of showers and storms off the coast of the southeast. It's very heavy. Pretty intense storms off the coast here, but most of them stay offshore, so not a big deal at all. And then this moves on out. It never really had a chance, and even if it did get close to the southeast, even if it did kind of move in for you folks into the northeast, I would think that it would still struggle to do any kind of winter weather along the I-95 corridor. And it would be all rain for most of the southeast just due to the fact that the low pressure would be kind of, closer to the southeast in general. So warm air aloft and warm air to the surface, it would have probably been a cold rain. So it's just kind of one of them things. We have no consistent, true cold air source when we need it for us winter weather fans. And, I know there's a lot of people in the southeast that's actually moved past the point of being frustrated over the winter that we have not had and just is starting to look forward to spring. And I'll be honest, guys, I'm always going to keep it real. I've kind of developed that mindset too. Do I think winter's over? No. Even in some of our worst winters, which I'm talking about 2011 and 2012, which was a horrible winter for the southeast. Horrible. There wasn't even a chance, a sniff of a winter weather, chance out there. Luckily for some portions of the Mid-South, even though it was an ice storm, but for a lot of areas around Christmas time, we had a couple shots of winter weather with the Arctic front. We had, and then a couple days later, we had a little bit of snow for areas of Tennessee. Y'all sniffed a little bit of winter weather, but for a lot of the Southeast, this has been nothing. So, we'll see what happens here. I don't know. I don't want to compare it yet to 2011, 2012, which was a kind of one of those winters, I believe. Here, I can speak for Columbia, South Carolina. By the time we got to March here in Columbia in 2012, I think we were having widespread 80s. And I remember the pollen was absolutely horrible that month. So who knows what's going to happen. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen this year because we're La Nina. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if we have a cold spring, just the way that these setups happen here. And we still got March, guys. We saw what happened in March of last year when we had several inches of snow that swung through portions of Tennessee and the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee. So you never know. Winter's not over, guys. I mean, what is it? Just February 5th? So we've had some pretty crazy winter storms in late February. I can speak here in the Carolinas, and early March too. But getting into the Northeast, we have a little bit of snow flying around on portions of Maine. Really, this is just the northern half of Maine. And then as we're getting into a little bit later this afternoon, you go from literally so cold that it breaks tons of records here in areas of the interior Northeast. For like Friday evening and Saturday morning of yesterday to, you're getting into this evening and it is too warm for it to be for snow for western areas of New York State. That just tells you how rapid the warm up is occurring today here in the Northeast and how fast the ridge is moving in and replacing that basically huge shot of cold air. But, these two pieces of energy we're going to try to connect, but they're not. And, well overnight tonight, you're going to have some heavy rain off the coastline of Long Island and southern New England. But most of this rain will stay offshore, but you certainly could wake up to some dampness and some rain showers in the coastal sections of southern New England as you're waking up for your Monday morning. But outside of that, most people will stay relatively dry. The south central U.S., pretty quiet. There's nothing really to talk about for you folks. Enjoyed the nice weather, especially from dealing with the, around this time last week, things were starting to go downhill. But enjoy the nice weather. There's absolutely nothing going on except some snow in the Rockies. So just very quiet weather. Very, very quiet. The north central U.S., we move this forward, getting into about midday, maybe some snow flurries for areas of Michigan in general, and then we keep rolling here, and not a whole lot going on, not anything going on. We take it all the way out to Monday morning, and there's just no precipitation on the map. So enjoy the nice day, and enjoy it while you got it. It'll be cold up here where it's supposed to be cold in early February. The entire state of Minnesota will be well below freezing. Most of Wisconsin will be below freezing. The UP of Michigan will be below freezing. And the northern, Iowa will be a weird state today. Northern Iowa, below freezing. Southern Iowa, portions of far southern Iowa could get close to the low 50s. So you're getting a ridge that is rapidly moving in, and it's already moved into these areas. For example, in the Ohio Valley today, you'll get into the 50s. Certain sections of southwest and western areas of Illinois, like St. Louis, and areas of just basically the entire state of Missouri, will get close or into the 60s. You got this little pocket of cooler air just due to the fact you got cloud cover and this coastal low moisture in areas of North Carolina and South Carolina. That's the only thing keeping you guys a little cooler. If you're not affected by cloud cover, it's going to get, and rain, it's going to get into the 60s. The entire state of Texas, even in the panhandle of Texas, 60s and 70s, maybe even an 80-degree reading in southern Texas. So, it doesn't look like winter. This, to me, looks like this would look like late March or something. But, it's not favorable for winter weather or anything. So, looking forward, let's see what we got to talk about here. The first system is about midweek. We'll get this coastal low out the way. It doesn't really do anything. And then we watch as a cutoff low, and this is what this is. Normally with cutoff lows, guys, they can bring all kinds of weather. Severe weather, flooding, snow, and normally they can be dynamic, but they get lost in the main flow of things, so they're hard to predict exactly where they're going to drift. But this little cutoff low forms down here, gets lost in the main stream of things, which is way up here in Canada. The ridge is so tall, it goes all the way up here, but a low pressure is going to form. Typically, these cutoff lows or upper lows can bring their own cold air, so. And what I'm saying is, in some areas, it's just cold enough for some snow. So I wouldn't be surprised on Wednesday morning, and there could be a little bit of strong to severe thunderstorm development here in the south. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we know it, when we just don't know it yet. I don't think we're going to have an outbreak by any means. Definitely not that. But this rides along the western boundary of this ridge of high pressure, and here it comes, and this high pressure is pretty stout, what we call the southeast ridge. And here it comes. And there could be some really wet, but maybe a pocket of very heavy snow that kind of rides through portions of Oklahoma, up through Kansas. This might really get going as it gets into maybe northern Missouri and Iowa and then Wisconsin. And this could produce some very heavy snow potentially for maybe areas of Wisconsin and the UP of Michigan. Potentially. But the track of the storm is just, we don't know. We really don't know what's going to happen here. But it's so warm, guys, that this is all rain for areas of most of the Ohio Valley. This is a weak high pressure up here funneling in cold air, but it's still fleeting. It's heading on out. Nothing wants to anchor in and feed any kind of cold air. Meanwhile, you got this strong high pressure really digging into the Rockies. It's going to bring some really cold air. And the next storm is weird. We're getting into Friday morning. We got a trough digging right here very quickly. It's not like you got a pattern-changing cold front that's going to move through and bring a period of below-average temperatures. Here it comes. Along it, you're going to have probably two pieces of energy, one from the southern jet and one piece of northern energy up here. So something is going to try to develop, and then there's a big question mark right in here as we're getting to Friday and to Saturday. Does some kind of area of snow develop in Tennessee, Kentucky? At the same time, you got a low pressure developing here. Not a great area of cold air. Low pressure tries to intensify. Some back end moisture for Saturday morning on the GFS shows snow for maybe areas of the Delmarva. But, I definitely think that you could have a decent northwest flow event for the southern Appalachian Mountains. I definitely do think that. We're going to watch that for sure. But this is a pretty stout cold front, nothing compared to what we just saw in the Northeast. So this is a system we got to watch. There's been flashes of a hefty storm system in this area. But then again, it's very everywhere. It's everywhere, guys. The European, what does it show? I know this is a little bit smaller. I love tropical tidbits because I can widen the screen a little bit more. But we can look at the European here on Weather Bell. Here comes that first system about midweek, getting into Wednesday morning. Same kind of deal. Shows a pocket of heavy snow, little cold air aloft. You see this 540 isobar right here? That is a little bit of cold air aloft in the atmosphere. So at the surface, the temperatures are probably extremely marginal, maybe to 30s. Upper 30s. But there's a pocket of cold air aloft, so this brings a little bit of snow for places like Kansas City Wednesday evening, and then this brings a pretty stout snow event for areas of Iowa, Wisconsin. We just got to see what this does, and this is just brings potentially a winter storm for sections of southeast Canada. So the European and the GFS are starting to agree a little bit more on this system. That this is going to develop down here and then kind of swing back up here and kind of attach itself from the main flow of things up here in Canada. But then as we move past this is just going to be all rain for a lot of areas that it should be snowing this time of the year, but it's not. Next system, it's a cutoff low itself, but more of like an upper trough of low pressure, if you will. So this swings through. The European has a period of snow through the Ohio Valley Saturday morning. It doesn't dig in near as far south that you need it for maybe areas further south to get snow. Here it comes. It tries to reconnect itself. It tries to phase, but it never really does. So it's not an impactful system whatsoever. But then the European behind that has a punch of cold air, maybe like a Clipper type system. But I can tell you guys, that's pretty much it. For the first system, the European has a swath of heavier snow. I don't buy these heavier snowfall totals yet. But this is what it's saying for that first system. Right? Some hefty snow amounts in a very small and isolated area for areas of Oklahoma, Kansas, through northern sections of Missouri, Iowa, Wisconsin. And then you look at the GFS. What does the GFS show for the same storm? A little different, but has the same general idea, just shifted a little bit further northwest in general. So we'll watch this. This will be something to talk about. Could bring some snow for areas as far southwest as maybe the Panhandle of Texas, potentially. So we'll certainly watch that, see if it develops into anything bigger. But really, I'll kind of show you what's going on with the 500 millibar heights here. The warmer colors you see here, the orange, that's higher heights. The bluer colors, cooler colors, that it's lower heights. Lower heights in the blue symbolizes a trough of low pressure, cutoff lows, or just a cold front in general. Just depends. Just energy in general. So here comes this cutoff low for midweek. It's lost. It's just kind of meandering. Then it kind of reattaches itself right here. Turns into kind of like a trough of low pressure with an piece of energy kind of associated down here at the bottom. And we just got to see what this does. But this is a very quick, fleeting period that maybe somewhere in the eastern U.S. can score. But look what's behind it. There's such a quick moving flow out there. Nothing is concrete but the southeast ridge, but the ridge. Okay, so this area, this favorable time period this weekend moves in, moves out, then it gets replaced by the ridge, and you're thinking, well, Mitch, we got the ridge here, but isn't this going to move out quick also? No. Look what happens here. You get a big trough that dumps in the west, and you're thinking, oh, this is heading out. But nope, it anchors itself where it's been at for a long time, and you get what we call a negative PNA, which is basically ridging in the east, troughing in the west. And this looks like another potential big dump of cold air for the western and maybe central U.S., where you're going to have some kind of battleground that sets up right into here. Now, this is 9 to 10 days out. It's kind of far out, but you're probably going to have some sort of storm system that fires up in this range again. The pattern really reminds me of last February, where winter pretty much ended for the most part in the east after January. And then we had multiple systems that flew across the middle of the system in February. But, we got to see what happens. But I can tell you the pattern does not support even remotely close to any winter weather for the eastern U.S. So, except little small events, very marginal events that doesn't work out for a lot of areas outside of the mountainous regions of the Appalachian Mountains. So, that's all I got, guys. Sorry for the kind of the bad news for you winter weather fans. I haven't accepted it, but I've kind of moved past it mentally that this winter just is not going to be that great. But Mother Nature, weather can prove me wrong. We've had some banger winter storms in late February here in the southeast even. So even in March. So you just never know. Trust me. For me personally, I would rather get a winter storm in December or January as opposed to like March. Of course, I'll take it in February, but once you get into March, to me, my mind starts to shift to more of a spring mindset. But of course, if you're going to dump a half a foot of snow on my house in March, I'll take it. You know that, guys. But that's all I got. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for consistently watching. For you folks who do, even when the weather's not busy, that means the world. And obviously the views have went down and tanked, but I kind of expected that. But thank you for people who have joined my channel. It means the world, especially when things get slow. But appreciate all you guys, and have an awesome Sunday. And I will be with you guys this evening. God bless.